Hey everybody, welcome to our first live training for the Event Wizard Pro. Since this is the first one, I decided to do something pretty basic and pretty simple. So we're just going to go over some reports today and kind of get an overview of how a lot of them work, and we'll go from there. And hopefully we can make this a weekly thing, so we can build up a training library that you can reference whenever you have questions about the Event Wizard. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look at some of these reports. So all of the reports are found up here in the upper right hand corner of the main screen here. And so we'll just go ahead and start with the first report in the list, the rentals totals. And this is, it's just what the title of the report is. It's going to give you the total of your rentals, and you have a couple options here with you can select your month and year, and whether you want to look at completed events, not completed events, and all that. So we'll go ahead and do all of 2016. So that's gonna break it down by category, and then in those categories, it's going to list each rental item, and then it shows how much you currently have listed in inventory, how many events they went out on during the time period, how much you enter the amount you entered for the rental. So if you rented it for $200, that's what's going to show up here. And then in the next column is going to list any discounts. And then finally, the last column shows the actual amount it rented for, which is the entered amount minus the discount. Each category is totaled. And then at the bottom of the report, get that pulled into view. At the bottom of the report, it gives a total for the whole report. So that's pretty straightforward. It does exactly what it says. It gives you a total of all your rental items. The next one we're going to look at is top customers. And this one is pretty self-explanatory also. You can select how many customers you want to see, and then this is going to order them by the top customer down to the lower customers. So you can go by amount paid, the amount they've booked so far, or the number of events. And again, you can select a year for this. So we'll look at 2016. So we can see we've only got 4 customers in the system right now. I'm using one of the Event Wizard demos. So there's only 4 customers, so that's why it's not showing 25 customers that I've got selected here. But we've shown this is the amount paid. And then here we're looking at the amount booked. And then we can also look at the number of events. So, and you can do that for a single year or all years. So, you can see who your top customer is for as long as you've been using the Event Wizard. And then we also have totals by location. So in this one, you can be a little more specific. You can select, a single day or a month. You just select a date range here, and then you can select whether you want to look at the totals by the event location or the customer location. So event location, we've got a couple entries with their totals, with the total of the event, and then the total that has actually been paid. And then the same with the customer location. So we have one entry, all our customers are in Springfield, show their event totals, and then the total they have paid. So that's, those two, the top customers and the totals by location, are just nice statistical reports. And then we have the month year rep pay. I don't actually have any data for this report, but this is if you pay your associate's commission and you use the system within the Event Wizard to track that, it will break down by month how much each rep has been paid within that month and year. And then the next one is the month, year, or week, month, year summary. This is a pretty nice report. You get to select, a year, whether you want to just see completed events or all events. You can even select what associate you want to see. So if you just want to see one of your salesperson's events, you can select that. And then again, we can select the event total or the amount paid on the events. So when we generate this report, this shows our whole year, and it breaks it down by month and then the weeks within those months. So here we can see in 2016, January, the third week, the 10th through the 16th, we had one event, and that totaled $4,667.50. And if we click on the week, it will actually take us directly to the list view, where we can actually go in and look at the events for that week. This report, so like I said, it goes through the whole year. And then at the bottom, it gives you a total for the year based on your parameters above. You can go ahead and switch it to all events and see how some of it's going to change. We'll have events in August now, since those have not been completed yet. We'll see the totals changed a bit because we also have some discounts in August, and then July also. So that changes our total down here. And then we have the month-year comparison, which lets you select multiple years, and then it compares them. Gives you the count of the events. So the main heading lists the year that you're under, and then breaks it down by month, and then you've got the events, the event totals, the payments received, taxes, delivery fee, damage waiver, and discounts. So then this is just a way to look at, basically a way for you to look at 2 years at the same time. It doesn't do any comparisons, but that's what our next report is for. So then we have the month-year comparison. This is a lot like the previous report. We select our years, and then we can select whether we want to see just stuff that was booked this date. So it would look at, when you compare, say, 2015 to 2016, it would look at June 30th, things that were booked before June 30th, 2015. And then it would do the same for 2016. And then we can look at booked for the entire year. And then we also have the option of event total or payments received. So if we pull up this report, it's going to give us a more limited breakdown of the years. But then over here in the last column, it shows the increase or decrease. So we had, 2 more events in March in 2016. October, we had 2 less events, less money. It shows the change in percentage. So this is a good report to check to see how you're doing compared to the previous year, or you can go 2 years ago compared to this year. And then this also has a graph view. So, and then this is going to give you a graph where your money, your monetary value is over on the left, and then you've got the months across the bottom. You got your key over here showing what color is what year, so we can see in a nice graph form what each year is done and how they compare to each other. Then the future forecast is another one I don't have any data for. This is a little bit harder to explain. It was a requested report for somebody. So what it does is, let's say we selected June 30th, 2016. It's going to look back at June 30th, 2014 to see what was booked for 2015 at that time. And then it's going to compare it to what has been booked up to June 30th, 2016 with what is booked for 2017. So it's kind of a way to look across the years to see, when you're booking in 2016 for 2017, it gives you a way to compare that. And it, for most companies, it really only comes into play towards the end of the year, because I know, throughout the year you'll have some bookings for the next year, but a lot of times those bookings don't really start until October, November, December. So that's when this report starts to come in handy. All right, and then we have the sales journal, which is you select a date range. And then it pulls up all of the events that are happening in that date range. And it just gives you a breakdown of, the reference number, the customer, what portion of the total is rentals, how much was taxable, non-taxable, how much tax was collected, looks at any discounts, the damage waiver and delivery fee, and then the total. So this is just a way to look at the date range of your events and get a breakdown on where the money's coming from, some totals, so you can compare different date ranges. And then we have the expenses report. This is another one where you select a date range, go through from June through July, just so we get some data in there. And this breaks down your event expenses. So the first line, you have your crew expenses, which is what you pay your crew, and that's only applicable if you're using the scheduling feature in the Event Wizard. So it pulls the numbers from the scheduling where you've marked out how much your crew is getting paid for each event, pulls that in there. And then we have equipment expenses, which you can set certain expenses or specific expenses for specific items. For example, if you do cotton candy servings, you can automatically have a cotton candy serving be 25-cent expense, and then when you enter 10 cotton candy servings, and it's going to show up as a $2.50 equipment expense. So then after that, we have custom expenses that you all can set up, and we'll do another video going over some of this stuff. So you can track per event expenses for anything you want, really. Here we've entered gas, hotel, inspection fees, and then miscellaneous. And you can enter those on the event summary for the event, and then it can be pulled into this report so you can see the totals for your selected date range. Then we have the payment report, which is also pretty self-explanatory. You select a date range, and then it's going to pull up any payments made within that date range. And then it's going to break down. It's got a couple interesting ways to break down your payments. You can filter it by payment type, so that it only shows, all your cash payments are shown, credit card, and check. So you can filter it, and then it breaks it down. You can also make the date range be the event date or the payment date, whichever one you want. There's also a option to download the report, which will give you an Excel file you can open and work with. But it gives you the date of the payment, the date of the event, the customer, the payment type, the payment method, and the invoice. And then it does some interesting breakdowns. It's got the payment amount, and then how much of that was taxes, how much of the tax total was paid, and then how much, or okay, so how much tax was applied, the total taxes for the event, and then the event total, and then how much of the event is non-taxable, and then the discount. And then it gives you the delivery fee, and then it has the percentage of the total payment. So we can see that the top entry and the bottom entry are deposits, and it shows that they're 26 and 25% of the total of the event. And then this middle one was a full payment, and it is shows 100% for the payment of the event. That's the payment report. Then we have the references chart, which this is a pie chart that breaks down, how where you have the option to select how your customer heard about you when you enter an event. So we've got 3 different options here. We've got Yellow Pages, website, and previous customer, and it gives their percentages. And you have the option to select a year, a month, and then you can do it based on the date booked or the event date. And then customer locations is actually redundant. Since we have the totals by location, we don't need the customer location report anymore. Doesn't have any options, just brings up location, how many customers, and the amount. Then we have the previous bookings report, and this one I was just recently asked about. Somebody is wanting to be able to look at, who booked their event this time last year, and so that's what this report does. It allows you to select the date booked, which it defaults to this week last year, and that can be changed. We don't actually have any data back there, so we'll change this. We'll look at, I think I have some stuff in March last year. Or not. But anyway, you can select the date range, and this is going to be the date booked. And then you can also narrow it down to only customers that had an event within a certain date range also. So we can say everything that was booked in 2015, but only if they had an event in October. And so it's going to narrow it down like that. And then this report gives you the date booked, the customer, the contact person, their phone number, their email, the event date, the amount, and then the sales rep. And you can also filter this by sales rep. So if you have multiple sales reps, you can create a report just for them so they can go back and call their previous customers. We also have this option to hide customers that have a future event booked. So with today being June 30th, 2016, if they have an event booked July, August, any time in the future from now, it will hide them. So if they've already booked with you again, you're not, trying to follow up with them and trying to book with them. So we can apply that, and it's going to hide these people that already have events with us. So all 4 of my customers in this database have future events. So and then we have the old bookings report, which since all of my customers in this demo database have an event, this isn't going to, well, it'll work a little bit. So this report will pull a report of customers who have not had an event since your given date. So if we entered today's date, if they don't have a future event booked, it's going to put them in this list. So you could go, back to January, say, pull a report of customers who haven't booked since January 1st, 2016, and that's going to pull up basically anybody who doesn't have an event in 2016. And since all my customers have an event in 2016, it's not going to pull up anything. But this is a good way that you can go filter through and try to find some people who haven't had an event in a while and earn their business back. The last column is the last event that they did with you, so you have that for reference. So you can look at that and get a quick glance of, oh, they haven't booked with us for 2 years, so let's go and call them up. Then we have the pricing list, which this allows you to build out a price list that you can use for your reference, or you can give it to a customer, however you want to do that. But you can select a category that you want to do, or you can select everything, and then it gives you the option of what rental information you want to include. So you can include just your fees. You can also include like the size, power requirements, and all of that information, and give it a title, and then it's going to generate this report for you. Break it down by category, rental item, and then it's going to in the additional columns it's going to show the information over here that you selected. So this is good for internal uses and as well as helping customers out. All right, with the call log, if you are using the call log, this is the report where you can pull up the activity from that. I don't have any data in here for it, but you select a date range and then any calls that you have logged using the call log up here, using this form. You can search using a keyword based on the associate the message was left for and the date range, and it's going to pull up that information, show you the message, and then you can open it up and see the detailed view as well. And then we have the activity log. This, you pick a day and it's going to show you some information. Some of it is stuff that's gone on behind the scenes in the Event Wizard, and some of it is, you'll recognize actions that you've taken. It shows things like events created, proposals created, users logging in and logging out. It also includes things like automatic emails that have been sent, automatic emails that failed sending for whatever reason, whether it's bad email credentials or settings like that. And so this is somebody says that that they've had trouble logging in, and you can come in here and see that they've failed to log in multiple times. Or this also logs when events were deleted. So somebody says, hey, this event I was working on was deleted. You can come into this log and see who deleted it and when. I'll briefly go over the tax reports. I'll probably do another training that goes over the taxes and stuff better, more thoroughly. It goes through setting up taxes and all the way through the tax reports. But since I don't have taxes set up on this demo right now, there's no data in them. So we have a tax exempt report, which shows events that were tax exempt for tax exempt customers. And then we also have a breakdown for taxes by county and city, taxes by event, and then taxes by month and year. And then we also just have a list of tax exempt customers. And then our final two reports, we have the rentals used report, which pulls any rentals, which basically gives you a breakdown of any rentals that are being used within your date range. Now, it doesn't do past events. So if I select, all the way back in June, anything from the 29th back, it's not going to select anything. It's not going to pull up any information for those events. It only does future events. So this basically it shows us that we have within July we have 1 bounce house, 7 casino dealers, 5 casino tables, 2 green screen, 1 slide, and 2 photo booths. This is better used on smaller date ranges, like for a week or a weekend, just to give you an idea of what you have going on that week, how much stuff you have going out, if you need to go get supplies, or to make sure you have linens or inflatables cleaned and ready for the week or the weekend. And then our final report is the vendor equipment list. I believe this was requested because we had somebody that had a vendor they worked with, but they didn't do vendor contracts for each event for them. They would just, since they work so closely together, they would just give them a list of the equipment that was needed, and and so they would just show up to the event and do it. So what we have here is you have the information for the event and the customer that you want to share with them. So if you just want to give them the contact name, phone number, and address, you can do that, or you can give them the customer name as well. And then in rentals here, it's going to show any of your subcontracted rental items. Right now, we just have catering per person as a rental item that's subcontracted, but it's going to pull up a report that's going to show all that equipment, where it's going, so you can just give that to a vendor. Say you do your vendor agreements per month, you can pull up a whole month for one of your vendors that you work closely with and say, hey, this is what I need from you this month. So that basically covers it for reports. I hope you all enjoyed this training format, and I hope to be doing this every week, and we'll see you later.